Across all of history, there have been many literary geniuses. This obviously goes without saying, from the esteemed Charles Dickens to the distinguished yet enigmatic Shakespeare. The array of authors which have marked the flow of time with their talent and sagacious writings seems rather endless. For the most part, however, most of these authors were recognized for their art while they still could revel in their fame and popularity. In other words, while they still lived. Tragically, however, to its contrary, there exists a large list of those who were not recognized, or those whose impactful writings did not leave the impact they should have until they sadly had passed away. This list includes Zora Neale Hurston, the author of Their Eyes Were Watching God, Stieg Larsson, the author of the Millennium Trilogy, and Emily Dickinson, the author of the poems of Emily Dickinson, and today's figure, Franz Kafka. Before we get into this video, some of you may be asking what a gaming channel like mine is doing, creating a video essay. Quite frankly, no clue. I kind of just, I wanted to establish this channel as more than just a gaming channel. I'd like it to be more than just that. And with the release of this video, it will most likely help the channel establish itself as something further than just a gaming channel. Additionally, if you guys would like to see me create a video essay on any topic, make sure to leave it in the comments. That being said, here is Franz Kafka's early life. In July 3rd, 1883, a child belonging to Hermann Kafka and Julie Loewe is born in Prague, Bohemia, what is now known as the Czech Republic. Franz was born a third child to two older brothers, George and Heinrich, or Heinrich, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, both passed away sometime in their infancy, throning Kafka as the oldest brother of the family. 6 years later, in 1889, the Kafka family gave welcome to a new member, Ellie. And in the span of a few years, Julie gave birth to two more daughters, Vali in 1890 and Otla in 1892. Hermann, Franz's father, was a merchant. The Kafka family was considered a middle class and left enough room for young Franz to dream of a better economic future. For a large majority of his childhood, Franz was left in a sense of loneliness, as his parents spent most of their time in their shop, only ever spending time with him and his siblings in the evening, a time in which Hermann would take to teach and address issues with Franz in a very authoritarian manner. With little to no backup from his mother, young Franz seemingly turned away from the world and relied on his imagination to form a world only he could shift, as children often do. Franz's father would often gleam as a beacon of fear, using scornful ridicule to assert a sense of dominance, an act that would change Franz in a negative way. Although haunted by thoughts of worthlessness and inadequacy, Franz would see the good in his father and would manage to value the good assets that he had to offer. Positively in contrast, Franz's mother was able to show her endless love for Kafka. Sadly though, it could not overcome the negative impact that Hermann's contemptuous demeanor left on young Franz. Understanding Kafka's early life is crucial not only to understanding Kafka as a person, but also as a writer. This can be said with just about any of us. Kafka is known for both his existential and absurdist views, which he majestically expresses through his writings. Kafka believed that the human race was simply a misclick made by God. According to some, Kafka claimed in his own words, "Our world is only a bad, fretful whim of God, a bad day." It can be claimed that a large amount of his personal philosophies can be traced back to his experience with alienation. Kafka never felt truly accepted into society. He felt different. He was different. Kafka used his experiences to create characters and worlds through which he would be able to easily supersede his mindset into. If you ask me to define Kafka's mindset in 2 words, I would answer with existential dread. That is, after all, what his work most potently screams out. Like The Trial, where a man by the name of Joseph is accused of a crime which is not disclosed to him, yet for which he must attend a trial to. Spoiler alert for the ending. Joseph slowly goes insane as he tries to clear his name of the charges which he is never aware of and ultimately is executed. Additionally, Kafka made it seem as though said execution was predetermined. Kafka uses his literary language to implement the fear and disconnection that he himself has from society into Joseph's relationship with the court. That is just one of the stories which he uses this amazing strategy on. Other examples would be The Castle, where the protagonist finds himself combating authority once again, but in a different scenario. All of Kafka's stories contain a sense of disorientation because, like I stated, he implements such elements from himself and his perspective, like an artist on an empty canvas. There seems to be a special type of loneliness behind Kafka, and it displays itself best in lines like, "I cannot make you understand. I cannot make anyone understand what's happening inside me. I cannot even explain it to myself." A line from his most famous literary work, The Metamorphosis. Out of all of the published Kafka books, the one that can be deemed the most popular is none other than Metamorphosis. It follows the life of Gregor Samsa and his abrupt transformation into an insect one morning. Interesting plot, is it not? Well, what makes this read truly meaningful is Kafka's decisions upon progressing the storyline. The book takes place in the span of a few months, starting from Gregor's realization to his, spoiler alert, death. Kafka, using time as a tool, manages to display his sociological beliefs and how relationships are seemingly fragile upon the face of adversities. The use of symbolism in this book is out of this world. For example, there's one time in the book Gregor's father throws an apple at Gregor out of anger. This apple manages to lodge into the shell in his back and rot over time. This apple represents many things, but very simply, the damage caused by the harshness of the disapproval and rejection of others, while the rotting into the shell represents the long-term damage that said marginalization can cause. Many brilliant lines derive from this book, like the one stated earlier. They just go on to further demonstrate Kafka's ingenuity. Overall, the Metamorphosis dives into the feeling of alienation that simple hardship can cause and the weakness of relationship ties. As in the ending of the book, it is seen how Gregor's family is much happier upon his death. The descent Gregor experiences is so tragic that just trying to understand it is rather painful. It makes you think what Kafka was experiencing. There's much to go over when analyzing Kafka's life. After all, it was very scrupulous. In fact, there was an infinity that I was not able to scrutinize in this video, like his interesting love life. However, I'll try to bring this video to an end with a story. The story could very well be a crafted story, as there is sadly no proof of it, so take it with a grain of salt. But it goes like this. One day, a 40-year-old Kafka was walking through a park when he encountered a crying girl. She had lost her doll. Kafka helped the girl look for the doll to no avail, so he asked her to return to the park the next day to continue their search. That next day, Kafka provided the girl with a letter that he claimed arrived from the doll. "Please do not cry. I have gone on a trip to see the world. I'm going to write to you about my adventures," said the letter. From there on out, Kafka would oftentimes encounter the girl and read out letters of the doll's adventures until he finally presented the little girl with a doll that he had purchased. "This doesn't look like my doll," the girl would point out, until Kafka read the final letter. "My trips, they have changed me," the letters contained. And so the girl hugged the doll, then took her home. Up until here, the story remains credible, as it is claimed that a year later Kafka died, and it wasn't until the girl had grown older that she found a letter hidden inside the doll that read, "Everything you love is very likely to be lost, but in the end, love will return in a different way." In my opinion, the story is only partially true. I tried doing research to prove it either way, but I could only find that the story was apparently told by Kafka's lover Dora after he had told her to her. Yet it shows the wide inconsistency that he would not be able to finish that story truthfully or knowingly, considering that he had died at the age of 40. June 3rd, 1924 was the day of his death. As I stated, he was 40 years old and had passed away from tuberculosis. Having not married nor having any children, Kafka left this earth with only one wish to his dear friend Brad, to burn all his manuscripts, letters, and diaries. Brad did not concede to this wish and published those writings regardless. Writings which contributed to bringing Kafka to the popularity which he remains at today. There was much, sadly, that I was not able to go through, as my time is very limited nowadays, but I'm sure there are others out there who have done a better job at this than me. So if you are interested in more, make sure to check them out. I conclude this video with one of Kafka's best quotes. "By believing passionately in something that still does not exist, we create it. The non-existent is whatever we have not sufficiently desired." Thanks everyone for watching. This is a very new thing for the channel, clearly, and it's not something I'm used to. It requires script writing and intense research, but it was pretty fun, I guess. I'm not sure how this turned out. My editing is not the best, as you can see, and I'm not sure if this was entertaining, but if you guys want to see more, like I said earlier, just let me know in the comments. This channel will still remain in the gaming field, because, it is something that I enjoy, but, I'll try to bring in more video essays every now and then. That being said, though, thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.